What is up, you guys? We are finishing up our how to fund a race car video, and we already sold our transmissions. So if you didn't see the last video, go ahead and click on the link in the description. You'll understand. But we sold the transmission for $400. We bought it for $108, so I'm not sure what the profit is. I'll put that right here. And then we have the motor sold as is for $700, and the guy is coming to pick it up tomorrow. And if he don't take it, we have it sold as a turnkey drop-in for $850. But there was tons of interest on it, so if you plan on pulling a motor and selling it, just mark it to where it'll sell. You're not gonna get rich doing it, but if you do it enough times, you might. My rule of thumb is at least double the money, so I spent $223 on it, so I have to get bare minimum $450 out of it, and that is not very hard. But I ran into one more problem, and that is that I cannot get my GoPro videos onto my phone to edit them. So I found a MacBook Pro laptop on Marketplace for $100. I am on my way to go look at that laptop, and if it works, we're gonna buy it. So my iPhone will be compatible with my computer, and then I can swap videos back and forth and edit on the computer and upload them off that, like an office and a home base type computer. And then I can take that with me on the road also when I need to. I was looking at some of the bigger Macs, like the desktop Macs, but that's just not gonna work out for traveling and following the cars and stuff. So that is why I decided on the laptop. So I will let you guys know if I get it. I'm not gonna bug the people that I'm trying to buy it from. But enough about the technology. We have a running motor on the engine stand, and I wanna go over it before we get rid of it. So I wanna go over one of these simple harnesses on a run stand. There's been a couple people that have asked about it, and I literally have the easiest setup in the world. So what you're gonna wanna do is get yourself a battery and hook it up like a normal battery. We got a ground going to the frame, and then we got our positive going to the starter like normal, and then we also have a positive wire coming up to our main power switch. So when we turn this on, it powers this and this. Without that on, it doesn't do anything. So we just got little jumpers running to this switch and the starter button. So this button goes to the starter engage right here. Off this other switch, we will need a wire that comes all the way down through the frame and comes back to our relay for our simple harness. The simple harness comes with this little red wire, and I like to split it by the fuse box and put it into the fuel relay also, so they both get power. And then this one right here is my fuel pump positive wire. You just stick it in, and that will allow the system to run its 2-second prime like it is supposed to. As you can see, it is just ran along up here underneath the battery, and this is a temporary setup, so I don't have any connectors on it. It's just laying here right now. And then we also have a ground, which is on our frame. As far as the harness grounds, we have the back of the head ground going to the back of the head. And the last ground by the PCM is down here on the frame also. And this will allow the engine to start and run. Previously, I have had the collectors with the O2 sensors in them. So I run the MAF sensor and the AIT sensor with it, and it has worked every time. This time I do not have the O2 sensors, so I unplugged the MAF sensor, and it seems to be running decent enough to let it sit here and run on its own. These harnesses are cheap and super easy to do what you need with them. Nowadays, they come with these adapters to get into what injectors you have, so you don't have to worry about none of that. But let's fire this thing up. Great oil pressure. be respectful to my neighbors, so I'm not gonna rev it up or anything. But it does take just a second for the computer to go into speed density mode. But I believe that is how it is running right now. And you can rev it all the way up as high as you want, and it will just sit here and idle. And the closer it gets to operating temperature, the better it idles. So that's a walk around on a run stand with a eBay simplified harness. The one thing I do like to order is these mechanical adapters for the oil pressure, and then I get one for the water temperatures. That way I can run old school gauges in my car. But that's a wrap on the How to Fund a Race Car series. Part 2 is done now. We got the motor fired up running. It's just waiting on pickup. Now, to clean these off, I like to use dollar store oven cleaner. You get it at Dollar Tree. It costs $1.25, and it is in a yellow can. So what I do is spray it on after I power wash some of the grease off, and then I let it sit for 7 to 10 minutes, and I come back in and I wash it off, and I call it good. I have not scrubbed on it. I have done nothing but power wash it and spray an aerosol can on it. So for our total investment, we have $108 in a transmission, $223 in a motor, and $2.50 into oven cleaner, which comes out to a total of this much, because I can't do that much math in my head. But I do know that we pocketed $1,100, and I will also put the difference of that right here, because I don't know what that is right now either. So now that we got the total of what we profited, we have to go ahead and subtract another $100 out of it, because I bought the laptop, and the laptop only helped with the YouTube and the videoing in the long run. So I broke down and I finally did it. So our new grand total of profit is this number right here, which we can then go ahead and subtract from our total on the Mazda build, which makes the Mazda build now this much, which means we can link this video into the playlist of the Mazda, because that is why we did all this, to fund a Mazda. All right, guys, so I'm sitting here editing this video, looking back at previous calculations for our Mazda total, and it turns out I was off by $5. We bought the motor for $228.50 and not $223. So we got to go ahead and subtract $5.50 from our total, which now puts our Mazda total at this number. And before we started this video, it was over $3,000. I will see you guys in the next one, where we get the rack and pinion fixed in this thing. It is absolutely destroyed. And we are also getting our G-body put back together, as we use most of the parts on the run stand to start this engine out of that car. So I will get that thing buttoned back up. So the next video is gonna be hopefully us breaking this car and that car again.